All right, let's jump right in. We're going deep into the forests of Central Africa for this one. It's a chilling legend about love, secrets, and that super thin line between our world and another. This is the story of the Spirit Bride. So, I want you to picture this. You're deep in a forest where the trees are just impossibly tall, right? They completely block out the sky. And in places like this, there are certain paths, these little clearings that everybody, locals, travelers, everyone, knows you just don't go near after sunset. And look, this isn't because they're worried about animals, the kind of predators you can see or hear. No, no. This is about something older, something unseen, a presence you can feel more than anything else. See, the elders in these villages, they pass down this warning, this truth they hold really close. And it's that in these ancient places, spirits actually walk among us. And sometimes, just sometimes, a spirit falls in love. And that's where our story really begins. It's all centered around this young woman who was completely convinced her destiny wasn't written in the stars, but somewhere else, in her dreams. Okay, so in this quiet little village, there lived a woman named Amina. And she was famous all over the region, not just for being beautiful, but for having this incredibly kind and gentle heart. I mean, you have warriors, farmers, hunters, everyone wanted to marry her. But Amina, she turned every single one of them down. And her reason was always the same. It wasn't that she was trying to be difficult or anything, she was just faithful. She told people she was waiting for someone very, very specific. A man she'd never actually met in real life, but that she saw clear as day every single night in her dreams. Well, wouldn't you know it, one evening, just as the sun was setting, her dream literally walked right out of the forest and into her life. So who is this guy? Seriously, where did he even come from? Well, he was tall, super elegant, and wearing these fine clothes that nobody had ever seen before. When people asked where he was from, all he'd say was beyond the great forest. He had this calm, kind of mysterious voice that just pulled you in. But nobody knew his family, his history, nothing. He was a total mystery. But for Amina, none of that mattered one bit. The second she laid eyes on him, she just knew this was him, the man from her dreams. He was finally here. He asked to marry her, promised her everything, wealth, protection, and she said yes, just like that, no hesitation. And here's what's so fascinating. A lot of these old traditional stories have these built-in warnings. There's actually this saying from West African folklore that just nails the uneasy feeling the villagers had. It's this piece of wisdom that's been passed down forever, warning against doing, well, exactly what Amina just did. Yeah, and that feeling the villagers had, they were right to be worried, because soon after the wedding, Amina's beautiful dream was about to become a total nightmare. Her new husband, he had this really weird routine. He'd leave the house way before sunrise, disappear into the forest, and wouldn't come back until it was pitch black. Seriously, nobody ever saw him during the day. And when Amina would visit her family, something was off. Her skin looked pale, her eyes seemed so far away, and she barely laughed anymore. Finally, she got so suspicious that one night she followed him deep into the dark woods. And that's when she saw it. In this hidden clearing, as he was standing all alone, his whole body just started to change. His shadow moved like smoke, his eyes were glowing like embers, and when he spoke, it sounded like 1,000 voices at once. He wasn't a man. He was a forest spirit, and he told her he needed a human wife to stay connected, to stay anchored to the world of the living. But the whole thing hinged on one single rule. She could never, ever find out what he really was. And by seeing him like that, well, she broke the spell. And just like that, he vanished into the trees, gone for good. Wow. What a powerful, haunting story, right? But it makes you wonder, is this just a spooky campfire tale? Or is it pointing to something much bigger, a belief that you can actually find all over the world? Well, it turns out Amina's story is far from unique. It's actually a perfect example of a really widespread belief. It's called the spirit spouse. Okay, so what is that? The key idea here is that a spirit spouse is a belief you find in shamanic traditions on like almost every continent. It's this idea that a person, usually a shaman or some kind of medium, is spiritually married to something that isn't human. And the connection almost always starts and is kept alive through dreams. Sound familiar? Just like Imena. And this isn't some obscure, isolated thing. Just look at how common it is. In Côte d'Ivoire, the Bol people believe everyone has a spirit spouse in the other world. In Togo, the Ewe people hold actual wedding ceremonies for humans and their spirit partners. It's all over Nigeria, and it goes beyond Africa. In Papua New Guinea, with the Kaluli people, a guy can't even become a medium until he's married a spirit woman in his dreams. Okay, so if this belief is so real for so many cultures, why is a story like The Spirit Bride told as a warning? Why is it so scary? Because these stories, they're so much more than just entertainment. Think of them like containers for cultural wisdom. They carry these really important warnings and social lessons from generation to generation. They're basically a user's manual for how to live in a world where the spiritual and the physical are all mixed up. And if you look closer at Amina's story, the warnings are crystal clear. Number 1, listen to your elders. The villagers were nervous for a reason. Their collective gut feeling was right. Number 2, be wary of the unknown. That handsome stranger with no backstory? He was literally the definition of a dangerous unknown. And 3, protect your community. When Amina chose to marry a total outsider, she was messing with the whole social fabric. But the biggest warning, the one that's there from the very beginning, is this. The spirit world isn't some far-off, abstract idea. It's right here. It's just past the tree line. It's right on the other side of sleep. And that recurring dream you're having about a handsome stranger, it might not just be a dream. It might be a summons. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? Maybe we don't tell stories about spirits in the forest so much anymore, but we definitely still tell stories in our movies, our shows, the stuff we see online. So the real question is, what are the big warnings hidden in the stories we're all telling ourselves today?